Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. APW Sports signing in. And as we get closer to the 2025 NFL season, there's one thing that I haven't done, and that is rank the current head coaches going into the 2025 season. Now, how I'm going to do this is that I'm not going to do it by team order. I'm going to do it by how they finished last season from worst to first. But before I get into that, make sure you guys leave this video a like as it continues to help this channel to grow and to boost the YouTube algorithm. And if you are not subscribed, go ahead and click the subscribe button and notification bell so you will not miss any of the videos that I post. But without further ado, let's dive into it. All right, so we're going to start this with Tennessee Titans head coach, Mr. Brian Callahan, and I will put him in mid. I'm not going to necessarily put him in terrible. As of yet, he has been dealt a bad roster, in my opinion, and I think this team plays hard, but I just think for the fact of the roster that he has been given during his tenure, not very great. We'll see if changing of the quarterback position with Cam Ward now can do things. But as far as Brian Callahan, I can't put him in terrible just yet. I'm going to put him in mid. And then we got the Cleveland Browns and Kevin Stefanski. I'm going to put him in a solid coach. I could put him in good. I'm almost want to put him in good, but that team really underwhelmed. I think that's a lot to deal with, the influx of their quarterback position. But he's proven to get this team to heights that no one could have thought. Now, one of those coaches of the year I think was kind of questionable. I think in 2023 could have possibly went to maybe a D'Amico Ryans or someone like that. But I still think he's a very solid head coach. But I think he could be on the hot seat if that quarterback position still fails in 2025. Then we got the New York Giants. This one is a tough one. Because Brian Daboll overall, I put Brian Daboll in mid. I might not put nobody in terrible as I'm thinking about this, but I think when we come to Brian Daboll, the Daniel Jones experiment didn't work but outside of 1 year. And I think he's on the hottest of seats out of all coaches in the NFL. And we'll see what this Russell Wilson, maybe Jameis Winston, and Jackson Dart could do for them. But I'm just at the point of, I'm not going to say he's terrible, but he's on the biggest hot seat with the pressure for that team to win with them departing Saquon. But as far as his head coaching ability, I think he's okay, but he just hasn't. I think the quarterback position has been lackluster, and that was what he was brought there to do. And outside of 2022, hasn't been much there. So I'm going to put him at mid. Next, we're going to have New England Patriots, Mike Vrabel. And this is not a first-time head coach. So I'm going to put I think Mike Vrabel is a very good head coach in this league. He was dealt the bad hand by the Tennessee Titans with that whole entire situation. But that team needed to rebuild. And him not necessarily being the coach that's, I wouldn't say for that particular rebuild, even though I still think he got dealt a bad hand by getting fired, and got dealt a bad hand by a lackluster play at quarterback during his time there. But I think what he can bring defensively to this Titans team and what he can bring as far as the culture, I think he's going to turn out to be a good head coach for young quarterback Drake May and the rest of this football team. So I'm going to put him at good, and it's not Ohio State bias ranking, because he went to Ohio State and ran and defended national champions. But I think he is a very good head coach in this league. And I think with the Patriots, I think he's going to be able to prove that. Next, we have Liam Cohen. And I think I'm going to put this category for first-time head coaches. I think the terrible part will be for just the first-time head coaches, or maybe not, or expectations. Or maybe I'm just going to put him in mid. I'm going to put him at mid. And the main reason I'm going to put him at mid I'm not sure he was the right hire. I'll be honest. I'm not sure Liam Cohen was the right hire for the team. I hope to be proven wrong because he's under a lot of pressure, especially with the struggles and ability of this team. Trevor Lawrence hasn't necessarily lived up to that number one overall pick potential as of yet. And that defense, it needs a lot of questions to be solved. So I'm kind of interested, it's kind of intriguing that they went still on the offensive route, but I will say him as me. Next, we have the Las Vegas Raiders and Pete Carroll. I am going to put Pete Carroll as a good head coach in this league. He's had success in Seattle, won a Super Bowl there. We know he can coach his ass off. He's gotten some not so great Seattle teams to have success. Very good defensive mind. And the one thing the Raiders need is defense, besides the quarterback position to be solved. So hopefully with him bringing in Geno Smith, they can solve the quarterback position, JT in the running game. And that's what Pete Carroll likes to do. He likes to run the football, play good defense. And he's been a good head coach in this league. And I think he's going to do a solid job with the Raiders. So I'm going to put him as a good head coach. New York Jets. Honestly, I think Aaron Glenn is going to do solid. I think his toughness, I think the way he leads, and we've seen what he did schematically with all the injuries that he had in Detroit last year with that defense. I think he's going to do a solid job with this football team. Now, the Jets still have a way to go. Justin Fields from The Ohio State University, formerly of my Bears. I'm not sure he's going to be the answer. I want him to be the answer, if you guys know me. I want Justin Fields to be the answer at quarterback. I think the way he leads and the culture change that this Jets team need post Aaron Rodgers, I think he's going to do a very solid job going into 2025 for that New York Jets football team. Next is the Carolina Panthers, and that will be head coach Dave Canales. I put him at mid, even though that Carolina Panthers football team started to play better later on during the season, but it was kind of intriguing that they benched Bryce Young 3 to 4 games into last year. Went with Andy Dalton. Team struggled more. They went back to Bryce Young, and Bryce Young had a better season. Maybe that could be credit to his coaching, but I'm going to put him at mid for now. But I think this Panthers team did get a lot better, and I think for 2025, I think we can start to see what kind of a coach Dave Canales is. Then we have New Orleans Saints and Kellen Moore. I'm going to put him at mid for now because he has a crazy situation with the Saints. I do think he can do a solid job. But with this Saints team, he has a crazy situation. Quarterback position, I think, still needs to be answered, even though they drafted Tyler Shaw, even though they have Spencer Rattler, Derek Carr retired. I still think this team is a little bit on the older side, and I still think they have some rebuilding things to be done with this football team. So I'm not expecting too much from Kellen Moore in year one, if we're going to be exactly honest. But I do think they're going to be taking a step in the right direction as far as this football team goes. So I'm going to put him at mid for now. Next, we have my Chicago Bears and Ben Johnson. I'm going to put him as solid, and it's not a biased ranking. But I think he has the makings of a football team to have good success in year one as a head coach. Caleb Williams, I think if that pairing works, I think we can see very good progress from him and this Bears offense in 2025. You have a very good defense, and you hire the right coordinator, Dennis Allen. You have the pieces on your defense. I still think the Bears need a bit of a pass rusher outside of Sweat. That's just me. You improve your offensive line. I think the Bears are going to come in and run the football a lot more than what they did in 2024. I think this Bears team is going to be much improved from culture, schematics, and just overall coaching with Ben Johnson and his staff. And I think he's going to do a solid job for this Bears team in year one as a head coach of 2025. But I'll leave my Bears thoughts later on down the road. But I think Ben Johnson is going to do a very solid job with this football team. Next, we have the San Francisco 49ers, and we have Kyle Shanahan. I still think it's crazy that people want him fired. I think I might have to put him in the elite of coaches. He was dealt a bad hand in 2024 by injuries. This team has been perennial playoff team for the most part, NFC championships, 2 Super Bowl appearances in this time, and they lost the Chiefs both times. And both of those games, they had leads that they blew. I will say that to give a little bit of a knock on Shanahan, but for the cause to fire him last season was absolutely blasphemous. I think he's one of the more elite coaches in this league. We've seen what he's been able to do and getting Brock Purdy to have success. Mr. Irrelevant at that. They did lose some players, but I think with the job he's done as a 49ers head coach, and I think they can continue to be a good football team, I put him as one of the more elite football coaches that we have in this league. Next, we're going to have the Dallas Cowboys and Brian Schottenheimer. And I'm going to put him in mid. I still think it was a questionable hire, to be honest. I'll be 1,000% honest. For me, and you guys can leave your thoughts, I thought this was a questionable hire. I hope he does a solid job with this Cowboys roster. It does have a lot of a big pressure to succeed, just from the outside sources. Then on top of that, this team, it's not like the Cowboys aren't talented. I don't know what it is with this organization, with this team. Things just don't come together. We had the injuries last year, whether we're talking about Trayvon Diggs' points, whether we're talking about DeRon Bland, whether we're talking about Dak as well. Running back position needed to be upgraded. But I think at this point, he's mid. Never been a head coach before. He does have a solid offensive mind. I still think it's questionable, but we shall see. Next on this list, we're going to have Mike McDaniel. I think I'm going to put him as mid. And the reason I put Mike McDaniel as mid is because, number one, the Dolphins never have good success in late games in December under his tenure. 2, they have been a really inconsistent football team on both sides of the ball during his tenure. And I think he's also one of those head coaches that could be in the hot seat. He does have I'm not going to say luxury, but he does have the backbone of a thing that he doesn't have a typically healthy quarterback with Tua. But it's just this team doesn't win a lot of big games, and they don't win a lot of late seasons. So is that a testament to him? I could possibly think so. So I'm going to put him in mid for now. And then we have the Indianapolis Colts, and with head coach Shane Steichen. I'm also going to put him in mid. It's crazy. I'm going to put a lot of coaches in mid right now. But Shane Steichen, he's had the same thing as Dave Canales, benched Anthony Richardson to go with Flacco, and went back to Richardson. And now Richardson is dealing with a shoulder injury, so he hasn't been out. He does have that. Just defensive coach. It's just a good coach, offensive man, excuse me. But when we're talking about Shane Steichen, he has a lot of pressure on himself as well. And he has a good offensive mind. It's just something about this team that's always kind of in the middle of the pack. And I think he's an okay coach. He's mid. So I'm going to put him there. And then we're going to go to the Atlanta Falcons and Raheem Morris. I'm going to put him as a solid football coach. I think he's a very good defensive man. He's been a head coach in this league before during his parts in Tampa Bay, I think early 2010s. Very good defensive mind. He got a defensive coordinator Super Bowl championship with the Rams in 2021. I think with the additions that they made this offseason with Pierce and Walker, I think with this, they did lose Grady Jarrett, who's been a big part of the interior of their defensive front, and they lose Dolman, both of those guys, to the Bears. But I think this team with Michael Penix Jr., I think his coaching can keep this team, I think, right in contention in the NFC South. And he does like to run a football. He has Algier. He has Bijan Robinson to do that. So I think he is a very solid coach. And I think with him, the defense is going to get better in 2025. So I put him as a solid head coach in this league. Next, we have the Arizona Cardinals and Jonathan Gannon. Honestly, I'm going to put Jonathan Gannon in mid. I've always told you guys this. I've not been a big believer in Kyler Murray. he had this team, I think it was the mid-season points where they were playing some much better football. It kind of fell off towards the end of the year. And I think the improvements that they made defensively, I think coming into year 2 with everybody coming to connect with Kyler Murray when he's coming back off the ACL injury. So I think this could be I think he's a very solid coach, a mid coach. I think we shall see with him in 2025. I don't expect too much from the Cardinals if we're going to be honest with you. And he could possibly be one of those guys to get canned at some point. But don't say you heard it from me. At some point, I just don't think Kyler Murray is it. I think if he had better quarterback play, maybe he might be higher. Defensively, that's where he was brought his expertise, and that Cardinals defense just has not been really great. Next, we're going to go to the Cincinnati Bengals and Zach Taylor. I'm going to put him as a good football coach, and I say this with how bad that defense was last season, but we see what he can do with that offense when healthy, with Chase, with Higgins, with Burrow at quarterback. They do need to get a bit of a running game going in 2025. But he's a coach that no one thought he would have been in the Super Bowl in 2021. Had a chance to go back in 2022. And that's when their defense, I think, was at their best in those 2 years. And it's taken a significant drop-off. But when we're talking about him as a head coach, he elevated this Bengals team when he got that quarterback of what he needed, and that was Joe Burrow. I think their connection has been very good. I just think he gets a bad rap because this team always starts slow, and it's been historically them starting slow ever since his tenure. And then on top of that, that defense has been declining almost basically every single year, but I think he is a good football coach. I just think they need to supply him with a better defense, and I think they would be in better positions to get back to those heights that they were in 2021. So I think he's a good football coach. Next, we're going to have Seattle Seahawks. Next, we're going to have the Seattle Seahawks with Mike McDonald. I think he's a solid coach. He's done a solid job. It's interesting to see that defense has gotten better. Offensively, I think it's a little bit questionable with this football team as far as can Sam Darnold be the answer? But they have been running the football solid when Kenneth Walker has been healthy. Defensively, with Witherspoon, Waylon, Leonard Williams in the interior, they have been playing some much better football on that defensive side of the ball. I just think this is a football team that does need a little bit better production at their quarterback positions from what they got from Geno Smith. And he has been able to get this football team to play hard. He has been able to get this football team to stay in contention. I just think they need a little bit more consistency from the quarterback play, and the defense needs to continue to improve. But I think he is a very solid football coach in this league. Next, we go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Todd Bowles. I think Todd Bowles is a very good coach. He's got a good quarterback when we're talking about Baker Mayfield, and something he really didn't have much with the Jets. That defense, albeit there's been a lot of changing pieces, but you have a guy like Antoine Winfield Jr., who I think is a very solid player. Vita Vea in the interior is still causing havoc up front. Levante David, even though his older years, has been a very good leader on that defense. And he's been able to get this team, a lot of people didn't have winning the division. He won 4 straight division titles, 21, 22, 23, and 24. And we're talking about a Todd Bowles defense. They likes to blitz, they like to get after the quarterback, and they like to create havoc. Been in the playoffs, and they were a couple mistakes away from actually winning in the playoffs last year. And I think he is a good defensive mind, a good head coach. So that is why I'm going to put him in a good head coach. Next is Sean Payton. I put Sean Payton in the elite, and this is why. The way this Broncos team took a step last year, I know with we had the whole controversy with Russell Wilson. He's, in his league, been the Super Bowl champion. He's been consistently successful offensively, consistently since had success, whether it's been Drew Brees as a quarterback for most of that. Had Bo Nix last year, and we see what he's been able to turn Bo Nix into in his rookie year. And this football team has a very good defense. I think this is a team, that's going to get better over time with Sean Payton. And we could start maybe talking about them down the line as a potential Super Bowl contender. I really believe that about this Denver Broncos team. I still think they need a couple of pieces, but when we're talking about Sean Payton and his ability to not only win and his ability to get this football team to have success, I'm going to put him at the elite tier. So next we got Mike Tomlin, elite. I don't know what people are calling for in his head with the Steelers. He's been given bad quarterback play since Ben Bing started to really age. And he has been coaching these teams that don't have no business being in playoffs sometimes into playoff games. Never had a losing season. Never. And people are talking about firing this man. Yes, he hasn't won a playoff game since 2016. We get that. Yes, they have been lackluster at quarterback. But this team is built by defense, and it's been like that the past couple of years. And we're still waiting on the TJ Watt situation to resolve itself. But we're talking about defenses, and we're talking about elite head coaches, Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl appearance. You know, they haven't won a playoff game, like I said, since 2016. But he's coached these teams that's been injury bugged sometimes to winning seasons. Or non-losing seasons, if you want to call it that. He is one of the top tier coaches in the league. So everybody with the noise that they need to fire him, shut the hell up. So next we are going to the LA Chargers and Jim Harbaugh. I'm going to put him as a good head coach. He's been a good head coach in this league before with the San Francisco 49ers. You know, the Chargers has a bit of a slip-ups last year. They didn't have the greatest playoff showing. But they have an identity now with Jim Harbaugh with being physical, like to run the football, play solid defense. And Justin Herbert, I think he had some injuries last year. When healthy, I think him and Harbaugh can make a very good pairing. A very good pairing. And got Najee Harris to help with that running game. Offensive line, they shored up. Defensively, they have some really good pieces on that side of the ball. Derwin James, Khalil Mack, to name a few. They bolstered up that offensive line, like I said. I just think in year two, and if they got a healthy Herbert, I think you're going to see a lot from this team. And I literally like Jim Harbaugh as a head coach, despite him being a damn Michigan man. So I think he is a fairly good head coach. So I'm going to put him in there. Next, we have Matt LaFleur, from those damn Green Bay Packers. Yeah. But I'm going to put Matt LaFleur. I'm between good and elite. I'm putting Matt LaFleur in elite. As much as it pains me to do this, I think he's one of the top echelon coaches in this league. I really believe so with the way he's been able to transition from Rodgers to Love. And you still have success, and really hasn't been much of a fall off for this Green Bay Packers team. They've been have some success in the playoffs, even though it's been a couple of years where 13-3 and then kind of choked. But if we're talking about getting this team to have consistent success offensively, they've been a very good football team. They ran the football very well last year. And that team, as much as I hate them, I cannot knock the things that Matt LaFleur has been doing with this Green Bay Packers team. So as much as it pains me to do it, I'm going to put him in one of the more elite head coaches in the NFL. So then we're going to have the Minnesota Vikings and Kevin O'Connell. I'm putting Kevin O'Connell in the good head coaching tier. We see he has success with Kirk Cousins. Sam Darnold had his best career year under him. This team, despite some of the things that's been going on, whether it's been the injury bugs with Kirk Cousins torn Achilles, McCarthy last year, and coach Sam Darnold, this team has been one of the top better teams in the NFL. Maybe top 10, 15, around that range. And we see what he can do offensively. He's a very good head coach, and it sucks that I still got to praise this damn division. But, hey, I got to call a spade a spade. Kevin O'Connell, and we've seen what quarterbacks have done under his tutelage. So, I can't knock it. Good head coach in this league. Then we're going to have the Houston Texans and DeMeco Ryans. I'm going to put DeMeco Ryans as a good head coach. They had some struggles in 2024. They had a little bit of a struggle times, but the way they were able to compete with the Chiefs in the playoffs, the way they dominated the LA Chargers in the playoffs, They dominated the Browns last year in the playoffs. And this team has been very good defensively, and he is a very good defensive man. Offensively, it's why they fired Kubiak last year. It was a little bit of a struggle, but defensively, that team is getting better and better with Petre, Stingley, Will Anderson Jr., Danielle Hunter. That, and then you got my boy C.J. Stroud from The Ohio State leading the charge at quarterback. And the way he transformed that team to having the second overall pick to winning the division in back-to-back years. So, I am going to put DeMeco Ryans as a good head coach in this league. Then you're going to have the Los Angeles Rams and a guy like Sean McVay. I'm putting Sean McVay in the league. The way he coached his Rams team last year, and how hot they were this close from beating the defending champion Eagles. This close to the playoffs from beating the Eagles. We know it was some controversy about how the golf exit ended with going to Stafford, but then you get Stafford, win a Super Bowl. And he's been to a Super Bowl with golf. So, great offensive mind. That team has just been outside of, I want to say, what year was that? I think that was 2022 when they kind of had a little bit of a slip off with guys being older, injuries and all that, with the 1 year all-in run. This has been a very good football team throughout his tenure, and they've gotten better. And if it wasn't for the close things that happened in the Eagles game, could we be talking about them as possibly making it to the Super Bowl? Who knows? But elite head coach. Then we're going to go to the Baltimore Ravens and John Harbaugh. I say he's an elite head coach as well. Consistent success. Lamar, and this just talking about defensively, they've been great. Offensively, they've been great, even though they've had some playoff hiccups. One of the top tier head coaches that we have in this league. And as much as people want to say they haven't had the Super Bowl or they haven't won one since 2012, and it's like people give criticism for him for they haven't really had the great playoff success when we're talking about 2023, when they lost to the Chiefs last year, losing to the Bills. This team is always consistently in the fight, always there in the top echelon teams, winning the division, getting close. But I just think they need a little bit to get over the hump, but I still think he's an elite head coach to last this long in the NFL. Sean McDermott, I say he's another elite head coach, but he has the same problem as a lot of teams in the AFC that can't get over the Mahomes hump. Josh Allen wins MVP. Defensively, they've been right there, the top 10, top 5 defenses in this league, and he's a defensive mind. So, consistent success ever since Josh Allen started to take those steps in the maturity in his career, and he's under his tutelage, he's got Josh Allen to kind of cut down on those turnovers. And this football team has always been there. And he did a hell of a coaching job last year with a team that lost a lot, but yet was still plays away from getting to a Super Bowl. But he has got to get over that. Elite Dan Campbell for the Detroit Lions. He's turned this team around in his 4 years. Whether we're talking about successful back-to-back division titles, they haven't won a title since the early 90s, for Christ's sake. This team has been consistent good for the last 3 years. The last half of 2022, when they went on their hot streak, and I think that team from that season has been hot ever since, and it's been on a roll ever since. We are going to see what things are going to make with the staff around him changing so much, with losing both coordinators and losing a lot of position coaches. But that team has been there, and I think if it wasn't for a lot of those defensive injuries last year and some of the play in the playoffs or the interceptions, could we have been talking about the Lions in the Super Bowl? And I think the last 3 head coaches, I'm gonna put Dan Campbell in good. I cannot put him in elite just yet, even though he did a hell of a job with that Washington Commanders team last season. And I still think this team, I hate to say it, could face a bit of a fallout, but I'll do a video about that later. But I still think he's a good head coach. He still has that bad 28-3 thing on his head from his time as the Falcons head coach. But I still think he's a good head coach. Then you got Andy Reid, elite. I don't think we need to say much. 3-time Super Bowl champion, He went to 5 straight NFC Championship games with the Eagles, and not much to be said about him. Been an AFC Championship every year since 2018 with the Chiefs. So elite, and we see what he's done with Patrick Mahomes. And then Nick Sirianni, the Super Bowl winning head coach, elite. I could flux this list around maybe a little bit if I had a thing. Maybe I could put John Harbaugh lower, Kyle Shanahan a little bit lower, Sean Payton lower, but I think I'm pretty satisfied with this list the way I have it right now. But I think there's a little bit of time for things to change. But this is the list that I'm gonna have, and I'm gonna stick to it. And leave this video a like, comment your thoughts down below. I know you guys are probably gonna differ with me. And make sure you subscribe to the channel. We want to continue to grow this thing heading into this 2025 season. But I love you guys. Thank you for the love and support. Thank you for checking out this video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.